This is a Volkswagen Golf, and today I'm going to take you for a walk around it, a look inside it, and then a quick drive. So here it is, the front of the VW Golf, and as you can see, it's a Golf. There's not a lot to say. This one is a Blue Motion, though it's not a diesel, it's petrol. You might remember the Blue Motion Golfs as being the diesels that went really, really far, or that Polo that Richard Hammond drove that supposedly could do 500 miles. Well, this one's a petrol. Big badge, big old badge, that's about it. I mean, it's a VW, they're quite subtle. Again, quite subtle. I'm not sure if you can tell, I'm rushing this because it's raining quite a lot. The wing mirrors fold themselves in when you stop, which I think is a bit strange because it's quite a small car. It's got a wheel on every corner, if you can believe that. And then this is the fuel filler cap here, which is locked now. And then round here is the boot, which again is quite, look VW, it just, you know, do something interesting. Should we take a look at the engine? This is the engine. It's a 4-cylinder, 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine with 130 horsepower, and it might be the smoothest 4-cylinder engine I've ever experienced in my life. It drives the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox. Now let's take a look inside, shall we? Get out of this awful weather. So welcome to the much drier interior of the Golf. Now let's have a look around. We'll start with the steering wheel, and it has multiple controls upon it. You've got your cruise control, and you have your menu controls for your screen and your voice. Then you have your usual stalks behind. You have your rotary dial for the headlights with an auto setting, so you can just put it there and never worry about it again. And then in the middle you have this large touchscreen, which is very responsive, and you can really just swipe through it without thinking or anything. Look, there's Radio 3, there's a station list, you know, and it's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Your HVAC controls are underneath, and then here's your manual gear stick. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speeds, and if you want to reverse, you just push it down and move it all the way over to the left. The one thing it doesn't have is a proper handbrake. It has this little button here, although you can just set off and it turns itself off. So actually that's quite convenient for hill starts and things like that. And now we've gone through the controls, let's look through the interior storage. So we'll start with the glove box, which as you can see is enough to fit, oh I don't know, 6 months worth of Kleenex inside. You can also fit about 12.5 Kleenex in the door pockets. And then there's the center storage bin, where you can fit another 5 Kleenex, and then another 5 Kleenex in the middle cup holders. And then another full 12 pack of Kleenex underneath the armrest. Really, if you've got a runny nose, this is the car for you. Well, I think that's a clean wipe on the front storage. So let's look at the storage for the rear seat passengers. Small umbrella. So welcome to the cheap seats here in the back of the VW Golf. We'll start with the controls in the back. There is, well that's it. There you go. There's an air vent with a little rotary dial, and you can move that about. You have your window controls, though obviously the majority of VW Golf owners will have the child locks on because these are family cars really. Storage areas, now we have a few more. There's nothing down here, but you do have a pocket in the back of either seat, which you can fit quite a lot in, as you see, an umbrella and some sanitary wipes. And then you have door pockets, and as you can see they are felt lined, just as they are in the front. So if things are moving around, well, one, things shouldn't move around in them too much, but two, if they do, they won't make a sort of uncouth noise. And then finally, you have this. So you have 2 cup holders, and then also, if I can just fold this down, a ski hatch. So you can take your little Golf all the way to the Alps and go skiing. But that really is it. It's quite basic back here, but it would be. It's a family hatchback. And this space is for children, so you don't want them messing anything up, do you? Shall we look in the boot? Just while we're climbing out the back, I just want to pay a little extra bit of attention to this. As you can see, the door seals actually also have a slight felting on them. I assume that's to reduce road noise, but it's one of the subtle ways that the Golf is considered a more premium car than, say, a Vauxhall Astra or a Ford Focus, is because of the little touches such as this. So welcome to the boot. As you can see, it's not quite as spacious as the boot was on my old Ford Focus. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, modern cars have a flat load space, so as you can see, the lip of this boot is very, very shallow, and that's because it has a false floor, which underneath you will find the space saver spare wheel. So this car still comes with a spare wheel, which is quite good because a lot of cars now just have one of those little tyre reinflation kits that I'm skeptical that they might not even work. So that's why. But actually, in terms of overall volume, it's pretty similar to all the other cars in the class, and you'll certainly get all the luggage in that you would need, or your weekly shop, or really anything else, because it's a family hatchback. It will do everything. As you can see, here's the back of the ski hatch, and if you just want to come in close, you have a 12-volt socket back here, so you can plug in one of those little hoovers, some little hooks, and these are quite smart. These go in, so when you're putting the parcel shelf back in after you've gone to IKEA or you've had the seats down for whatever reason, you can just slide the parcel shelf past them, and they'll just go in and then slot back out, and then as you can see, the parcel shelf just rests on them. And just so you know, this is how you open the boot on a VW Golf. Look at that, the whole badge is a handle. That is a nice piece of design work. Now we've gone through both the outside and the inside of the car, shall we go for a little drive? Driving the Mk7 VW Golf. It is almost exactly what you'd expect, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, we've always been told that the Golf is basically the most premium, nicest version of the mainstream hatchback, and it tends to always be the king of the family hatchback. And that is what the driving experience is. Everything is just right. It all makes sense. The steering weight is good, the feel is good, you have enough grip, but it's not overly dynamic or engaging in such a way that it would ever feel tiring. It's just relaxing and easy to do. All the pedal weights are ideal, the braking is progressive, the clutch engages exactly where you think it will. I just got in the car and could do it by feel immediately, and I've never ever driven a Golf before. It's all just so perfectly done. You know, they've spent the last, 40 years perfecting this formula, and they've really got it nailed. You know, there's nothing to particularly write home about it. There's nothing amazing or astounding. It's just all... It all is. It's all just right. The only notable thing about the driving experience is it's a 6-speed box in a 130 horsepower petrol engine, and the gearing is long for economy. So it has comparable or better power than most of its counterparts for the same price, but it's often not quite as fast with the manual because of the long gearing. You're not accelerating as quickly, but it means you have a good engine speed at motorway cruising, and you have enough power. 130 horsepower is enough power in a family hatchback to get everything done. It didn't feel slow or lethargic on the road. I just know that some of the counterparts, the Honda Civic for example, same powered engine, about a second quicker to 60. But it's a family hatchback, not a sports car. And having good fuel economy and ideal motorway cruising probably is more important to most people than the 0 to 60 sprint, because you still have enough power to go round people on the motorway and stuff. You're not going to be missing out there. Now, driving comfort, the seat is good, there's lots of adjustment in the steering. I could get a completely ideal driving position, and I don't think anybody else would struggle. You'd have to be either very, very tall or very, very short or incredibly obese to not be comfortable in that car. Everybody else will be absolutely fine. It's just nice. It's just a really nice place to be. If any normal, regular person were to ask me, I need some car, I have about
20 or 25 grand, what should I buy? I would say a Golf, because it's the definitive family hatchback. Sure, if you buy a Toyota or a Honda, maybe it'll go to the garage a couple times less in its life, and a Ford Focus might be slightly more engaging to drive, but for a complete package, a complete rounded package that just does everything, I can't think of a stronger car than a Golf. And this Mk7 might be the peak of that, because now moving forwards, the Golf has to be built alongside the ID until electricity fully takes over. So this last Golf has already been said it's not quite as nice in the interior. You can feel the cost cutting because VW suddenly had to split their development budget between two cars in the same segment, whereas obviously for this all of it went into just one. So I think this Mk7 might represent the pinnacle of Golf forever, because in 10 years time internal combustion engines will be banned. I can't see them producing another model after the Mark 8. There's no point unless it's a fully electric one, and at that point it's might be called an ID anyway. So I think this Mk7 might be the pinnacle of Golf for all time. It's going to be the best Golf they ever make. I'm not sure it'll necessarily become a classic or anything. I just think this is supreme VW. So yeah, conclusion. The Mk7 VW Golf. I think it's all the car that 99% of people could ever need, and I would thoroughly recommend it to anybody because it's a do-all car. Really, this car is enough for most people in most situations. The VW Golf. Just go and buy one. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have anything to say about what I've said about this car. And remember, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Drive Tribe and Patreon. And you can subscribe on Patreon and give us money if you want. Please. Okay. See you later guys. Bye!